All right, welcome back to another episode of the KarterKast. I'm your host, Karter. Baughan. With me, as always, Connor Sparrow. NBA pod time. We're back. NBA pod. We're recording right now. It's Monday night around 10 o'clock Eastern time. NBA, we're back from the All-Star break. We've gotten some games. To be honest, not much has changed.
Yeah, it's a little, I don't want to say stale, but it seems like we've hit that lull in the season where, trade deadline, All-Star break, and now it's like, all right, these next few weeks till we get to the end of March. Man.
Can I be honest? I think the last month and a half, 2 months has been kind of a lull.
You think so? Yeah, the trade deadline was kind of a stinker, so that didn't help
Trade deadline
things.
sucked. January NBA always stinks. And then post All-Star, I think, the random times in March it gets decent, but the thing is, my focus really isn't on the NBA. I couldn't tell you one thing that's ever happened in the NBA during the month of March, I feel like. Really try and sit there and think about it in your head, and you're like, I think the Steph Curry OKC buzzer beater was in March.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing I could ever remember happening in the month of March in the NBA.
We appreciate the honesty, though, because that's what we like in a podcast host is transparency. That's what we like, Karter. You're probably right, though. Right before we were recording, I finished watching Pistons Knicks. That was fun. But you didn't have on Nets Grizzlies? You weren't grinding the tape on Vince Williams matching up with Mikal Bridges? Come on.
G.G. Jackson, is he real?
To be fair, on our draft podcast with Stenko, I said G.G. Jackson will be a contributor for somebody. Here he is.
Fair.
Just saying.
Fair. But before we get into today's episode, we are brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek, go download the SeatGeek app today. It's the best place to buy tickets. Exclusive ticketing partner for so many teams like the Utah Jazz. I used it last Thursday to watch our Charlotte Hornets defeat the Utah Jazz. Great win. First win since 2006. Wore Bobcats gear. Lower bowl seats. It was great. Got $20 off using promo code KarterKast, KarterKast, for $20 off your first purchase. $50 purchase minimum required. Go to SeatGeek.com or download the SeatGeek app today to use KarterKast, KarterKast, for $20 off your first ticket at SeatGeek. All right, let's get into the show today. Let's start off. We want to do this. It's going to be most exciting or least exciting playoff series. So in a hypothetical world, we're just going to do the first-round matchups, and then we'll roll into the finals matchups. We'll do some bold predictions later on, maybe a Hornets minute, and then who he play for. But starting off with the least exciting and most exciting playoff series, hypothetical. So it's not going to go exactly how the standings are right now because obviously things are going to change. But what we want to see, especially in the first round, I suspect not a lot of answers are going to come from the Eastern Conference from you.
For the good playoff series.
Yes. For the bad ones, I think they may have exclusively come from the Eastern Conference.
You just want to start with the bad, get them out of the way?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do bad.
All right, so like you said, we're going to start off with the typical NBA TV opening round Eastern Conference playoff series, 1 p.m. tip on the opening Saturday. Bucks Magic, I think, is number one on my board. Bucks Magic is number one. I know Paolo and Franz and the Magic in the playoffs for the first time would be exciting, but just the style of play, the pace of the games that we would see. So that's a potential 2-7 or 3-6 matchup. I have to include the Bucks in my worst one, Karter.
I would say I think the Magic are fun enough to where you're like, okay, that would be entertaining watching Paolo in a playoff series enough in Franz. But I think the real one there is, let's say the Bucks somehow move up to the 2 seed or whatever, and somehow the Bulls go on a streak, and we somehow, in a terrible universe, get Bulls-Bucks.
That might be the worst one. That might take the cake. I see, in my mind, I was like, the Bulls are probably going to lose in the play-in. But yeah, that's 100 times worse than Bucks Magic. I think you're right.
I agree with you there. I think the Bucks, any first-round series they're going to be in is not going to be exciting. I think the only one that will be intriguing, I'm hoping for this, is Bucks Heat. I don't think the basketball is exciting, but I think for the storylines and everything behind it, I think Bucks Heat would be phenomenal TV for a first-round playoff series.
I think so, too, because the Heat, they don't take the regular season seriously the last few years, so they're going to be one of the lower seeds. And just because of the history, Giannis, Jimmy Butler, are we going to get Caleb Martin resurgence again in the playoffs? That would be. The storylines there would be great. Plus, Terry Rozier, I would love to see him in a first-round series. That wouldn't be bad. My next one involves, once again, the Eastern Conference and the slums right here. So this depends on the play-in tournament. It's the Celtics versus either the Hawks or the Bulls. I think that 1-8 matchup, whoever the Celtics play, unless it's somehow the Heat, it's not going to be fun. It's just not, because they're going to steamroll the Bulls. They would definitely steamroll the Hawks, even if Trae Young comes back from that surgery. I just think that's going to be boring. It's going to be 2 or 3 games decided by 20 plus, and Peyton Pritchard's getting 25 minutes a game in that series.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. If the Magic somehow drop into that 8 spot and ends up being Magic Celtics, I think that's a little bit more exciting. Heat Celtics is exciting, but once again, I hate watching Heat basketball, but it's very intriguing in the playoffs. But regular season Heat basketball, count me out, please. Last one I'll go with for worst playoff series. I'll go Cavs versus whoever the play-in is.
If the Cavs stick in the 2 seed?
Yeah, if the Cavs stick in the 2 seed. Or I'll just say, okay, Cavs Heat. If that happens, gross.
I mean, those games are going to be 99-91. Donovan Mitchell goes 8 for 25.
Yeah.
Maybe Cavs 1-6. I don't even know who I'm taking in that series.
Yeah. Do you have any more worse ones?
I've got one more. See, I really couldn't think one for the West, and then I decided to put one on here anyways if I have to choose. I went Timberwolves Pelicans for a first round series. Now, I would love to see Zion in the playoffs, but just brand of basketball, like defense, lower scoring, if that's the 1-8 or the 2-7 matchup, I think in a loaded Western Conference, that's the worst you can do. And that's still a good matchup. Like, I'm still tuning into every single game, but that's probably the worst one.
Yeah, it's probably the worst one in the West, but also that's an awesome game because I would be fascinated to see Zion in the playoffs, Anthony Edwards going against Zion one-on-one. Like, that would be great. That's so much better than anything in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the star power's there if you're looking at that matchup. And I would, like I said, tune in every game. Like, how is the Timberwolves going to put Cat on Zion, or what kind of the matchups are going to be? That'd be a great series. Speaking of great series, I kind of wanted to transition to the good ones now. I think the best first-round series in the West, or actually in either conference, I think Thunder Lakers would be number 1 on my list. Just to see a young Thunder team with Shea, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, all of their pretty much their playoff debuts on like a really top tier team going against LeBron, AD, and that Lakers team, especially if they're healthy. Once again, we mentioned this briefly on the last episode. The Lakers might be favored in that series. If they're healthy and you're taking LeBron and AD against this, even though the Thunder have been great this year, they might get favored in that series, and wrongfully so. I'm taking the Thunder to win, but I think that's a pretty exciting series.
I think that might be the answer, the most intriguing series, the most exciting series, because like you could say most exciting would be Nuggets Lakers if it happens, or Suns Clippers would be awesome too in the 4-5 matchup, but I think Thunder Lakers is the one I want to see the most, I think.
Yeah, because then you've got AD versus Chet, and then if you're the Thunder, you lack a lot of size. The Lakers aren't stacked with size. I mean, they have AD, but then who do they have behind him? Rui, he's 6'9", then they have Jackson Hayes and Christian Wood. That's not a team that's going to pummel them inside. And then we get to see Jalen Williams really get his feet wet against LeBron, because that's who's going to be guarding LeBron.
Yep.
I don't know. I think that would be just a real show, because Shea's in crunch time. Who are they putting on him? Reeves? Russell? Gabe Vincent if he comes back? I mean, what do you do at that point?
Cam Reddish?
I think that'd be fascinating. Yeah, Cam Reddish, the Shea stopper. Yeah,
Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish is the all-time AAU player, man. He like always stays in neutral, shoots from his chest. Can hit it. He has a good shot, but it's not like kind of streaky. The handles good, just the handles baseline enough to be a high recruit. He's so AAU, but
every now and then he turns on the defense, like in a big game. It's like, oh, we need him to lock up this guy. 95% of the time, maybe he's not trying, but AAU championship, okay.
Yep, exactly. The other one, this is a sneaky one. This isn't like the one I'm most excited for, but this is one I want to see, and I think this definitely would be lower on the totem pole of ones people would talk about, but I think this would turn into the most exciting playoff series. And that matchup is Pacers versus Knicks. That's the one I want to see.
Really?
Pacers versus Knicks in a 4-5. I think that would turn into the best series. Just kind of like Kings Warriors. Kings Warriors wasn't the one we were most excited about. Maybe it was, but Pacers Knicks would turn into an automatic 7-game series. And plus, you have the history there between Spike Lee, Reggie Miller, Pacers Knicks games with Ewing and Mark Jackson back in the day. It would be fantastic. And also, very fun teams to watch.
And those are just two entirely opposite brands of basketball. You've got the Knicks, who are going to grind you down and wear you down, rebound. Josh Hart, their small forwards, averaging 10 boards a game lately. Like, that is the ultimate slow the pace down. Jalen Brunson, get to your spot, find a shooter, or get in the lane and finish. And then the Pacers, run and gun, no defense, screw it, let's put up 130 points a game. I mean, those are just complete opposite play styles. So that's a good one. I didn't even think about that one. That would be a beautiful 4-5 matchup. I would love that.
What else do you have? Give me one more.
One more. So I wrote down Celtics Heat. We mentioned that already, just because the history is a 1-8. I think Clippers Suns is the one we got to talk about. I think if you look at the West, it is stacked from 1 through 1 through 8, 1 through 10. Just all teams you wouldn't mind seeing in the playoffs. But if you get Kawhi, Paul George, James Harden against Durant, Booker, and Bradley Beal in the first round, you can't ask for much more. I mean, that's like a conference finals a few years ago. That's like a dream finals matchup back in 2016. Like, come on.
Or 2021. Like,
honestly, don't need to go back that far.
Yeah, it's 1 through 10 in the West is unbelievable. That's what you have to think about. You're like, oh, I like watching that team, Clippers, Kings, Suns, Pelicans, Mavs. I like watching all those teams. It would be very disappointing if we saw the Jazz sneak into the play-in.
Yeah, if the play-in's Lakers, Warriors, Mavs, Pelicans, or if the Suns sneak in there, I mean, both those games are going to be insane.
Or like Kings drop out, like however it shakes out. Any 4 combination, as long as the Utah Jazz are not involved, is a great play-in.
Imagine we get Warriors Kings in the play-in tournament, and they just keep playing each other over and over again. I think it would be too. Steph has 50. Sabonis has 20, 20, and 20. I mean, you just don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I think those are it. Anything else from that?
Yeah. Hit me with your worst finals matchup. If you had to choose. Yeah, realistic. You can't be like Bulls, Pelicans. Like, give me a real one.
Timberwolves, Bucks.
That's exactly what I put. Bucks, Timberwolves. You have to. It will still be exciting. Giannis, Anthony Edwards. It's still the finals. But there's so many more matchups I think I'd rather see.
You see Rudy Gobert on a finals graphic? Like Rudy Gobert versus Brook Lopez.
Yeah, exactly. Or Malik Beasley or Chris Middleton, who's played 20 games this year. What's your best finals matchup? What's your one that you're like, okay, if I get to choose in a perfect world, what 2 teams do I want to see in late June?
Perfect world, ideal world, I want to see Warriors-Celtics rematch.
Really?
I think that would be awesome.
I think Celtics win that.
I think they do too, and obviously I think that's too unrealistic. I don't think the Warriors sniff the Western Conference Finals, if we're being honest. But what I want to see, what I think it'll be, what I've always said all season, gonna be chocolate, gonna be square, gonna be annoying, gonna be lame. Nuggets Celtics would answer. I just don't see a world it's not that series, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's the odds-on favorite right now, because if you look at what Jokic did to Golden State a few days ago, it's like, all right, he's still got that extra gear. They're just coasting regular season. Once they get to games that actually matter, it's on. I went a different direction. I said Celtics from the East, and I said Clippers from the West. There's too many storylines for me not to choose this. It's not what I think's going to happen, but it's what I want to see. You got Tatum and Brown. Can they get over the hump with Porzingis and Derek White and Drew Holiday, the new cast? And then you got James Harden in the finals. You got Kawhi Leonard. Does he have one more series in him? Paul George, is he going to answer all these questions about being a playoff choker? Russell Westbrook off the bench adds another layer. I mean, there's too many storylines, and there's too many ways that this thing can get chippy. You know, games are going to be high scoring. It's going to be in each other's faces. Star power on both sides. I think that would be the most entertaining finals. Now, I know not having Jokic there, I get it. I'll probably get some backlash for that. But Celtics Clippers, man, the star power there would be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be a phenomenal one. I'm not saying that. I just think Nuggets Celtics would just be fascinating, because those have truly been the 2 best teams of the last year and a half, 2 years or so. And I would be curious to see how Jason Tatum would show up against the Nuggets, like just how the basketball would work out. We saw that one primetime, I think it was a Friday night Celtics-Nuggets game. That was unbelievable. And we get potentially 7 games of that, and I would take Denver, no problem.
Yeah, I think if it's Denver-Boston, I'm probably taking Denver again. But if it's Boston-Clippers, I might have to take Boston.
How disappointed would you be if the Celtics are not in the finals? From a neutral basketball perspective.
I don't know if disappointed is the right word, because like whoever makes it clearly would have been worthy enough to go on a run. But yeah, I think I would be disappointed not to see Boston there. They're the clear-cut number one team in the East. They're the most fun team to watch in the East. And yeah, if they didn't make it, if they somehow got bounced early, that would suck. Just from a basketball
Essentially,
standpoint.
that question was, I really don't want to see the Bucks. That was a leading question and kind of rhetorical.
You ask me my worst finals matchup, it's the Bucks versus this team, and the Bucks versus this team, and the Bucks versus this team, which maybe is a little different with Lillard, but it'll never be that much different as long as Giannis is your number one guy, which he's awesome, but just the way they play.
And also, I just don't see it as a realistic finals matchup if you include the Cavs, Pacers, Knicks, Sixers, anybody else outside of Bucks, Celtics.
Yeah, I'm completely on board with that. I think there's two teams in the East that can legitimately make it to the finals, and lately with the Bucks, I'm not even too confident on that.
Next segment, what do you want to do?
Yeah, I want to get into this. Bold predictions. And there's a couple caveats for this. I said you can give me 2, 3, 5 bold predictions, wherever you want. They can be this year. They can be the next few years. They can be for a career. So just whatever bold predictions you want to spout off in this regular season lull period. You want me to start, or do you want to go first?
You go ahead.
All right, so my number one bold prediction. So let me asterisk this. This is not necessarily what we think is going to happen, but just in the realm of possibility. I think the next season that Victor Wembanyama plays at least 70 games, he'll be top 5 in MVP voting. How about that? Could be next year. If he plays 70 games next year, he's top 5 in MVP voting.
Yeah, I just don't agree because I think the Spurs suck so much.
I know, that's why it's bold, because I'm banking on the fact that they get a legitimate supporting cast around him, enough to compete for like at least a play-in.
They need everything. Everything. I mean, that team blows.
I know, but I think the thing is, Wemby will be so awesome. I'm not saying he'll win it, but if they're in playoff position, like fighting for a playoff spot, he could finish top 5 in voting.
They have to.
That's the Mavs. That's Luka.
Yeah, but they have to be top 7. Yeah, I mean they have to be in the top 7, top 8. And I think Wembanyama's awesome. I'm not discrediting him by any means, but I'm discrediting the Spurs because and also it's bold prediction. So like obviously I'm not.
Yeah.
Probably not going to happen, but I just don't see them making that jump unless they do this ridiculous blockbuster trade we don't know about.
My comparison would be like...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say Luka. I feel like Luka, like they're constantly in the play-in conversation besides that 1 year. And then Luka's always top 5 in MVP voting just because of the numbers he puts up. So I think Wembanyama can easily get there if he's putting up 22, 11, 3, 2, and 5 or something ridiculous. Like
Luka's in that
or 3.5 blocks a game.
Luka's in that like 6 through 9 range. The Spurs would be in like the 10 through 12. And
yeah, that's why it's a bold prediction.
Yeah,
that's why it's bold.
If the Spurs are sitting where the Jazz are right now, then you're like, no way. Like, but if he averages a ridiculous amount, which he could, I mean, who's to say he couldn't average 27, 13 rebounds and 5 blocks a game? Like who? Like
yeah,
just,
like what?
It's crazy.
What's he gonna look like after one off season as an NBA player? He's 20 years old. I mean, this year he's playing with Jeremy Sohan at point guard for 3/4 of the year, and then guys that really refuse to give him the ball or just don't give him the ball in great positions. He's doing it all right now as a 19, 20-year-old. So I don't know. That's my first one. What do you got?
This is stupid, but I don't think Jason Tatum wins. I don't think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown win a ring together. I'm not saying they can't win rings elsewhere on their own, but as that tandem, I don't see them winning a ring together.
So if they don't get it this year, which you're saying they're not, does Jaylen Brown get traded immediately, or do they give it another year?
If they make the finals, yes. If they get upset, let's say like they play the Knicks in the second round and they get upset by the Knicks, that it's over. They're figuring out the next trade. They're figuring out, okay, how do we shake this up? Because this really feels like the year. And once you get to that finals and you get to 6 games, 7 games, even if you lose, they're going to be like, we have to run that back. We have to run that back. We were so close. We're the best team in the regular season. We have to run that back. But if they get bounced early, this is going to split up.
Well, that's the thing. The league's so talented now, and there's so much parity, so many stars in the league, and so many franchises on the up and coming. You can't be complacent. You can't be satisfied with, oh, we made it to the Eastern Conference. Or even if you're Boston, oh, we made it to the finals and lost 4-1. That's not good enough. Like, for Boston, it's legitimately championship or bust, especially this year with this roster they got. This is the year. So you're right. I think if they get bounced early, especially, I think they do split up. So I don't hate that at all.
Go ahead with your next one.
Giannis demands a trade at some point in the next 18 months. So either this offseason or at some point next year. I think he demands a trade.
Yeah, I like that.
Because I think this year, no, like depending on their playoffs, what they do, I don't think it'll be this offseason. But if it goes poorly to start next year, I think next offseason we could really see it. So I think next 18 months, Giannis demands a trade. I don't know if he actually gets traded. Maybe they overhaul the roster, front office overhaul, whatever to keep him. But he will demand or request a trade in the next 18 months.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he does. Especially they're that going back to the Celtics, like wait, I talked about. Imagine if they get bounced early in first or second round.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a disaster. Like, yeah, they signed his brother and they brought in Damian Lillard, but it looks kind of bleak in Milwaukee, to be honest.
The thing about Giannis, he has the mindset of wanting to win. He just legitimately gives a shit. I mean, every night he goes out there, it's full blast, maximum effort. He does not want to lose. And so he's not like a Bradley Beal mindset where it's like, oh, I'll sit in Washington and collect my $150 million max contract and I'll be fine if we're 11th every year. He wants to win. So if it's another disappointing playoff run, I think the clock's ticking in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Let me think. I'm going to do this on the spot here. The only one I had down was the Tatum Brown one. I was like, you know what? Just think of the rest on the spot and go for it.
I got one more if you want, I can give.
Go for it.
Okay, we've talked about this one before. LeBron retires, comes back, wins a championship after he comes back, and then retires again. I think he'll retire, win one more, maybe not as the best player, but he'll come back, win one more, and then retire for good.
Yeah, that feels right. Gronk.
Yeah, exactly. He'll come join a team in January, February with some of his buddies, Steph, KD, or whoever he hasn't played with. And hey, let's get one more, and then he rides off into the sunset.
This isn't a bold prediction, I don't think, because I think things are trending towards this way. I think we are going to start looking at Trae Young and Jordan Poole in the same category within the next 18 months.
Oh my gosh, 18 months? That's all you're giving it.
It's bad.
It is. So you're in the boat that the Hawks, if they have to choose Murray or Trae Young, get rid of Trae Young.
I mean, are my eyes lying to me when I watch this game? And
no.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills watching this. It's just he sucks the life out of the game, and it's just bad decisions. It's just terrible decision making at the worst times. Constantly, it's taking a huge shot, a step back three, or whatever, and he's just so small and streaky, and just such high usage for not great efficiency.
Well, here's the thing. You're never going to win a title with Trae Young as your best player, and I don't know if he has it in him, at least yet, to take that back seat and be a second or even third option on a team. Like, I don't know if he can contribute to winning in enough ways other than scoring and taking a bunch of shots, like you said. If he can contribute and be less than the 25% usage percentage player, then maybe. But you'll never win with him as your best player, and you'll never win with him taking 25 shots a game. It's not going to happen.
Do you see a world where Jordan Poole becomes relevant again?
I really don't. And I know it's early writing him off.
I think I do.
Like maybe he finishes out this crazy max contract, one of the worst contracts in the league, and people are trash talking. And then maybe he comes back on a more team-friendly deal on a better team. Not Golden State, but something like Golden State. If he went to Denver and played with Jokic, he can look great. But I think there's more of a chance. But more of a chance, I think there's more of a chance that he kind of just fades off into irrelevancy. And I know it's early to say that, but man, he's been brutal this year.
It's bad, but it's also the organization isn't helping anything.
It is, but if you're in a situation like that, I mean, there's so many players that are like that won't reach their full potential because they're in a bad organization. It's just a matter of can he get out and can he kind of keep his head on straight enough and, it's cliche, but stay in the gym and be, competent on a winning team in 3 years when he gets out of Washington. Because if he's not, like, there's a good chance he goes here, he's like, screw it. Like, we suck. I'm done. Like, I feel like the mindset is very questionable with him.
Give me your next one.
All right, here's a good one. Bold prediction number 4. The Charlotte Hornets roster is not involved in any new legal trouble next year. I think they get a clean slate next year. I think we get a clean slate, clean season. Maybe some old ghosts.
Year, right?
Yeah, maybe some old skeletons pop out of the closet.
I think Miles got in that thing again.
Well, Miles had another charge, and then Brandon Miller had the whole Alabama thing carry over. But that was before the draft, but still this calendar year. So it's like, I think next year maybe they have a clean slate, and we'll just have a clean year. That's what I'm hoping.
We were texting beforehand, and I wanted to talk about. We'll save it for an off-season podcast, but I'll just get this out now. If you're buying stock in a team right now, the Hornets are very tasty right there. When you if you're a Hornets fan, LaMelo's injury history is your biggest concern, but you're like, ooh, I like LaMelo. Ooh, I like Brandon Miller. Ooh, if they re-sign Miles Bridges. Ooh, Mark Williams comes back 100%. That's a fun group. That's a fun group,
I think
exciting
so too.
group, and they're good. That's a talented group.
They've got the veterans in place right now. They actually care. Grant Williams, Seth Curry, some of those guys will stick around. Nick Richards is a viable center now. Who would have thought when we were debating him versus Vernon Carey a few years ago that Nick Richards would turn into this? He's legitimately pretty good right now. I think you're right. Great uniforms, great broadcast team. The fans of Charlotte are very passionate. Great city for basketball. I really do think that. I know I sound like our guy Crown Club right now, but I do think that Charlotte's thirsty for winning basketball. I think you're right. They're on the up and up. And that young core, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a better young core in the league with as low of a stock as the Hornets have right now. Because if you're not paying attention, you're like, nah, the Hornets, they're irrelevant. Who cares? They're going to be on the up and up the next couple of years. I do believe that.
I have one last one, and this is – just walk with me here. So this might be tough to explain.
All right.
I think that the Portland Trail Blazers are going to be the 2020s and 2030s version of the Sacramento Kings that we grew up with.
Okay. So meaning they just will never finish above 12th in the standings.
Yeah, they're just, oh my gosh, they have the third pick. Oh, they missed out on the lottery. They're 2. Oh, they're 5 this year. Oh, they're 6. Oh, they're 3. And they're the team that they're going to get into bad contract hell. The trade with DeAndre Ayton, they kind of had to, whatever. But I think that's just going to be a consistent thing. They're going to be like, ooh, Scoot Henderson on his next deal. He's done enough, kind of okay. And they sign him to a max deal, and you're like, I don't love that. I don't love paying Scoot Henderson $50 million a year. I think they turn into our generation's Kings.
I think that's a really good one, especially if you just did that on the spot. I mean, they've already shown they're not afraid to throw some money around. Jeremy Grant, they re-signed, and I feel like when they did that, that made me think Dame was coming back, and then he didn't. And now they're really bad. I mean, if you just watch their games, they're terrible. It's hard to watch. I know the Hornets have been really bad and all this. At least they're competent to watch now. I think that's pretty good. And it's just constant missed first-round pick after missed first-round pick. And you look back and you're like, remember this bust? And it's Portland.
Yeah, and the Hornets are a great – you could say they're this next generation Charlotte Bobcats. Same thing, whatever. But I think it's going to get bleak in Portland because also – you're not super high on their youth. Simons is that guy that he is an all-time great stats, bad team guy.
Well, if he's in Washington, he's Jordan Poole.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect example. If Jordan Poole's in Portland, he's Anthony Simons. And Scoot Henderson, he hasn't shown enough. Things could change. I'm never going to count out a rookie, but it doesn't look great in Portland with that.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is the last, you could say it's even longer than this. Portland's off-season decision-making on who they sign and who they trade for, and sometimes even who they draft, has never made sense to me. It's not a basketball fit. It doesn't make sense. I feel like that's been going on for a decade now, and I think Dame was just covering up a lot of glaring holes in that franchise. And now that Dame's gone, they don't have a guy that can be a, every year automatic all-star, all-NBA guy.
Yeah.
It's going to get rough in Portland.
And also, not to be understated here, who's their coach going to be? Billups is not the guy. It just feels like Portland's going to be one of those teams that's like, oh, here's their 6th coach in 10 years. Yep. And you're sitting there like, wow, what happened? They haven't had more than 30 wins since 2019 or whatever the year is.
Cooper Flagg changes everything. Who knows? Yeah, and you just get Cooper Flagg, and you're like, oh, yeah.
And then he becomes face of the league, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I had, though. Do you have any more?
I got one more, and you're welcome to give your input here, too. I have a few superstars that are under the age of 25 right now that I think are going to finish ringless. And this is not an indictment on them as players. It's more an indictment on how good the league is. So my number one guy, we'll start at the bottom. Number 3, I've got Ja Morant. I think he's good enough to be considered a superstar. He's young. He's talented. Super athletic. I mean, he'll poster anybody in the league. I just don't know if the Grizzlies are going to be in a position to win the NBA Finals. And I don't know if you can necessarily win a title with Ja Morant as your best player. Like a core of Ja Morant, Desmond Bain, and Jaren Jackson, that's not getting you a title. And I don't know if Ja's ever going to be the best player on a championship team. So that's my first guy under 25, I think, finishes without a ring in his career. What do you think?
Yeah, I see it. I think you're right.
This one hit. Okay.
I think you and I are aligned on this. I'm not the biggest Jaren Jackson guy.
Yeah, I'm not either. Takes a lot of shots, but go ahead.
Yeah,
please whisper into my ear.
Yeah, I'm just like just trust tree. Like I don't love Jaren Jackson.
There's too many games where he's like, oh, he had 6 points on 2 for 7. Why did he only play 19 minutes? Oh, he fouled out in the first half. That it's just games like that where it's like, all right, he needs to get more consistent. But yeah, just Memphis, that core. I feel like Ja's going to be in Memphis for a long time, and I don't see them getting over the hump. I think this next one's going to hit home for you. I've got Zion as my next guy here. I don't think he gets over the hump, and I don't know if it's going to be due to injuries or a shorter career because of his health problems or whatever. I just think as a player, I don't know if he ever gets there. Like, do you see Zion being the best player on a championship team? I don't think I do. You're the Duke guy, though, so hit me.
I just don't see him staying healthy enough to be that
guy. That's the thing. His career's probably 5 years shorter than everyone else. Yeah, he could be. The talent's there, but
yeah, it's just that it's just you're betting against his health, which is fair.
And that plays into it. Like, the league's so talented now. Like, if you have a few years where you're not healthy and you miss that window, it's over. Period. Because then the next wave of people come in, or like this year, the Thunder are there, and the Timberwolves are #1 seed, and all of a sudden this window's closing for guys like Steph and LeBron and KD, who are all in the play-in tournament right now.
Yep. Yep, I agree.
You got one before I go with my last one?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, here's number one, and this is gonna stir some people. #1 star under 25 to finish without an NBA ring, Luka Doncic. I don't think he gets it. I'm going to be honest with you. I think he's a guy that puts up insane numbers, Hall of Fame numbers even. He does not get over the hump. Just the way he plays. I mean, I've heard the word heliocentric thrown around lately. He's awesome to watch. Don't get me wrong. Him and Kyrie are sick together. But the way Luka plays, I don't know if he's going to get over that hump. Because when you get in these playoff series, especially in a conference finals or a final series, and a great team with a great coaching staff, has all that time to figure you out in a series, I don't think that style of play is going to get you over the hump, especially in a league this talented. And I'm going to say this point for the 10th time already this podcast. There's too many guys at the top of their game in the league now for somebody like that to win a title. And I love Luka. He is awesome. Top 5 player in the league, face of the league, will probably win multiple MVPs when it's all said and done. I don't think he gets over the hump and gets a ring. I think he's going to be one of those famous people that are like, wow, best player to never win an NBA championship. Luka's going to be in that talk.
So you're just calling him the white James Harden?
In a nutshell, I guess you can say that.
Literally, that's what it was to a T. Is you were naming James Harden's career in a less problematic manner.
I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess you're right. But do you think of James Harden as like one of the best players to never win a ring? Like, is he in that talk? I guess prime James Harden probably is.
Yeah, I mean, there is going to be ridiculous revisionist history on James Harden because you're going to look back and people are going to look at the stats. They're going to see crossovers and highlights and stuff. And you're like, dude, James Harden, those Rockets years, man. And then people spit out the crap like, oh, the Warriors bull crap. They almost beat the Warriors and they would have won against that Cavs team. He had a finals appearance with the Thunder. But yeah, I think he'll be. I mean, you think about it, you're like Barkley, Nash, Stockton, Harden.
Yeah, I mean, maybe so, because you're right about the revisionist history. It's going to be, look at these stats and highlights and everything. There's going to be no mention of, wait, he demanded a trade midseason? Wait, he held out? He ate his way out of Houston, legitimately ate his way out of Houston? There's going to be none of that talk. Blew up the Nets' big three. Like, you're right. I think you're right. But I don't know. What do you think about Luka? You think that's true at all? Could you see it?
I don't see it with the Mavs because I just think the Mavs are – their cap situation's a disaster. I just don't see how they get that legit second guy in there where Kyrie Irving's fine, he's great, but they need another wing. You can't win with Luka and Kyrie as two essentially point guards. I think they need another wing. not Brandon Ingram exactly, because I don't think Brandon Ingram's that guy, but a Brandon Ingram-like player where he can come in like, hey, give this guy the ball, he can get you a bucket. He's a multiple-time All-Star kind of thing. I think that's what Luka needs.
Yeah, you got to think about those graphics they make in the finals where it's like the best 3 players on each team and they're facing off or whatever.
Yeah, that's why
Luka,
I said
Kyrie, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, Josh Green. That's not
Derek
getting
Lively.
it done. Derek Lively? Yeah, there you go.
But that's why I thought that it was so funny earlier when they do the best 3 graphics and we're like the Timberwolves, Rudy Gobert, Anthony Edwards, yes, and then Karl Anthony Towns.
It's like Rudy Gobert, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. It's like, yeah, but he's been played off the court in the playoffs multiple times. Yep. Last thing on Luka, I don't know. See, I think you're right about the Mavs. I don't think he wins one in Dallas. And then you can be like, well, he'll demand a trade or leave him free agency and join up with another superstar. Jokic told him to come to Denver. Luka's not like Kevin Durant, where Kevin Durant can fit in anywhere. When he went to Golden State, he fit in like a glove. Even though they already had an established offense, established superstars, Durant fit in like a glove. Anywhere Luka goes, he sticks out like a sore thumb in a good way, but that is now your offense. You are now Luka Ball. You are now Luka Doncic. That's your team. He doesn't fit like Durant does, so I don't think it's as easy for him to just go join a super team.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, he plays very similarly to James Harden. I think it's less. He's a better version of James Harden. It's just what it is.
Yeah, I will say this year, James Harden didn't think he had it in him. He is sliding into the Clippers like he should. Taking that tertiary role, less usage. So good for him. If Luka ever learns how to do that later in his career, maybe, but that's my bold prediction. That's what we're closing with.
All right, last thing we want to do, who he played for, part 2.
We got to. Little mini one here. It was fun last time. You want me to go first or what?
No, let's because you're going to get all these right.
All right.
Through these. This is what I did. I went online, I looked up rosters, and I said, all right, who's the most random guy on this team? Let's just hope that happens.
I didn't study for this. This is off the top of the head.
So I couldn't tell you if this guy's two-way, if this guy doesn't play, or if this guy's hurt. I couldn't tell you anything. So here we go.
Okay.
Garrison Matthews.
The Atlanta Hawks.
Okay. Cole Swider.
Oh,
Syracuse legend.
Yeah, no. He was on the Lakers, but I think he's on the Heat now.
Heat. Dang.
Yep.
Diakite from Virginia.
Is he still on a roster?
He's on as of whenever I looked it up online like 3 hours ago.
Oh my God. Is it the Milwaukee Bucks? He's not there anymore. What conference? Because this is hard.
West.
Kings.
Nope.
I'm off. What is it?
Spurs.
Is he really on the Spurs now?
That's what it said.
I want to look up his stats. I wonder how many games he's played this year. I would love to know. It's got to be a two-way guy.
Diakite. No, I don't know who that is.
Virginia guy, though. He got drafted to the Bucks. I remember that.
Yeah, I know who. It says he's averaging 4 points a game. He played in January.
Did he now?
It's probably a two-way guy, right? This is great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, he's a two-way guy with like the Austin Spurs and stuff.
I think he's played maybe 2 games in the regular season. All right, that's fair. You got me. I'll give it to you.
Isaiah Livers.
Yes, the Pistons.
No, but I could.
Did he get traded?
Let me double check. I may be wrong, but as of now, that is not the right answer.
He might have gotten traded at the deadline.
Yeah, he is not a Piston.
Oh my God, he got traded. Who'd they trade with? The Wizards.
Bingo. That's it.
He was in that Muscala trade, wasn't he? Yeah, there you go. It's sad that I know that. It's sad that I know that.
Hit me. If I get one tonight, I'm happy.
It's Judgment Day. I gave you some names you know. Let's start off with some
doesn't
names
mean just because I know the name doesn't mean I know where they play.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Patty Mills.
Hawks.
There you go. 1 for 1.
Let's go.
Thaddeus Young. Uh-oh.
Thaddeus Young is a Rocket.
He was on the Raptors for a lot of the year, but he just got picked up by the Suns. He is now a
I
Suns
wouldn't
Sun.
have known that. Wouldn't have known that.
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
No, we're not. No, it's not the Colts or the Falcons, but Matt Ryan in the NBA.
Yeah, white guy.
And he is actually on a team, and he actually got some minutes the last few games.
Matt Ryan was getting minutes for It's not the Grizzlies because they have Matthew hurt.
Right.
Because I'm getting those two mixed up. Ryan plays for the Trailblazers.
The Pelicans.
All right.
All right, 3 more for you. Reggie Bullock, Tar Heel legend. Where's he this year? Doesn't play a lot.
I know it's not. I know it's not Dallas.
No.
I don't know. Lakers.
Rockets.
All right.
Rockets.
We're just like one step off. We're one step off.
All right, 2 more. It's time to heat up. Keon Ellis just got signed off a 2-way. He's now a full-time player. Multi-year contract guaranteed.
Did he play in like the Australian League?
No, I think he went to Bama.
Keon Ellis.
Keon Ellis, he's a guard, defensive guy. Just signed a multi-year deal with this team.
Thunder.
Kings. You're in the right conference. You're sniffing around.
Thunder. Yeah, Thunder. Or Kings feels right. I should have known that.
All right, last one here. This is the hardest one you'll get ever in this game. Unless you've seen his story on social media the last couple days, you're not getting this. Cam Spencer. That's right, Cam Spencer.
Raptors.
Wrong. The Warriors. Did you watch Warriors Nuggets?
I had it on mute. I had it on.
Did you see the last 30 seconds and the Warriors put the end of the bench in and this guy came in, white guy, couldn't have been more than 6 feet tall, number 61. I was like, who the hell is that? I look him up. It's Cam Spencer.
He's a walk-on.
Well, pretty much. He went to Northwestern. He was a D1 lacrosse guy. He was the number 1 pick in the Premier Lacrosse League, number 1 overall. And he was like, nope, screw it. I want to play in the NBA. He only played 1 year of organized basketball in college, his senior year at Northwestern. And now all of a sudden, he's a 2-way guy for the Warriors. Like, what?
That's awesome.
I was shocked. It's a great story. But I was like, who the hell is this guy? But yeah, so there you go.
All right. Well, there we go. Yeah, I got
that, one for 6?
Yeah, I told you. That's all I wanted.
You know what? That's good. If that helps you sleep at night, Carter, I'm happy for you. You stumped me, though. Diakite, that was impossible. I can't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lose. I'm not gonna lose sleep over that whatsoever. I got Patty.
Those are some good guesses.
Yeah.
You're sniffing around.
I'm gonna lose sleep. All right, that's it from us. Download the SeatGeek app. Go to SeatGeek.com. Use code KarterKast, KarterKast for $20 off your first purchase. $50 purchase minimum required. Go to SeatGeek.com. Best place to buy tickets for your next sports concert, whatever show you're going to. Go to SeatGeek. Use the code KarterKast to support the podcast. That's it from us. At Connor_Sparrow, at Karter VA, at KarterKast on all social media. We'll be back later this week for a college basketball podcast. Follow on Twitter, X, have the live stream there. We'll have it on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Subscribe wherever you're listening, and then we'll see y'all next time. Bye.